Welcome in to Locked On Knicks, a dominant win by your New York Knicks, 108-85 over the Dallas Mavericks on the Garden floor. The only thing that could have made it better is if a certain Eunice Snake had made an appearance, which maybe we'll talk about. And of course, we is not just me, Alex Wolf, and no Gavin today because he is off again doing the Hoop Hall tournament this weekend. Some of the best high school basketball out there. But I have Drew Steele here to help break this game down with me. We're going to talk about RJ Barrett's 32-point eruption, why Mitchell Robinson is so important to this team being good, and just general notes about how awesome the Knicks were in this game. Coming up right now on Locked On Knicks.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome in to Locked On Knicks. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Check out prizepicks.com and use promo code NBA or go to your app store and download the app today. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. I'm Alex Wolf. I'm editor-in-chief of Knicks site, The Strickland, which you can find at thestrick.land. And I am joined by one of my Strickland buddies today. Gavin's off, so I brought in Drew Steele, who you might also know as Doug, or at Scooter Toots on Twitter. And Drew, how are you doing, man? How is everything going for you after this awesome RJ game and everything else with this big win over the Mavs?
Does everyone see that entrance that I just watched? Like when we're doing this?
Yeah.
Yo, that's wild. I was not expecting that.
Well, so you're alluding to YouTube, which of course, yes, if you go on YouTube, you could see our fantastic professional grade intro music and video package that plays when each new episode starts instead of just the theme song. So thanks for pointing that out, Drew. I almost forgot to direct people to the YouTube. But let's get into the game, though. I'm glad to hear that the best thing going on in your life right now is our intro video package.
Yo, it is elite, man. It is elite.
But let's talk a little bit about this game. Like, again, the Knicks win 108-85. They win every single quarter in this game, including the third quarter of doom. No third quarter of doom today. It was more like a third quarter of doom for the Mavericks. RJ Barrett puts on an absolute clinic for the second straight game. And really, I mean, it's been about the seventh or so straight game of him just playing really, really well. But two straight 30-point games for him for the first time in his career. He gets 32 on 13 of 22 shooting, 4 of 7 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Just an amazing all-around effort from him. What stands out to you, Drew, about how he played in this game?
Was that last shot when he hit the 30 burger?
Mm-hmm.
Just the step back on Fat Luka, it was perfection, man. It was just great to see, especially because like Randle recognized it too, and he's just like, "No, we got to get him the shot." But the one thing that I just noticed was, remember when he had like that weird stretch, right? Where it just like he got COVID, he had like a stomach bug, and then he just looked like he couldn't jump or run after he went on like this little like launching point, and it's just like he got back to that, and we're kind of seeing what we're just like we got like a month delayed basically of what we were to expect from RJ, because like he started to do this earlier, got sick, and now he's just confident. Like that's what you kind of see. Like he's doing tricks that like he's doing windmill dunks. he's doing just wild stuff now. Like he's just feeling it.
Yeah,
and
this one,
that's what it is. He's feeling it.
The dunk contest level stuff is crazy that he's pulling out right now. I mean, he does the windmill in the previous game, and then in this game brings out the double pump reverse.
There we go. I had no idea. I didn't know what type of dunk it was. I was struggling there.
Yeah, and it was funny too because that was probably my favorite exchange of the game. You know, as far as like from a fun perspective, there was of course the fact that he did the hip bump with like every single player at
Mm-hmm.
one point or another. He did one with Mitch, one with Fournier. Like, I think he hit bumped every single guy on the team after one of his back-breaking shots that forced the Mavs to call a timeout. But the funny one was the dunk where he and Obi were both still back in transition, or back, like, not having gotten back all the way on in transition, because like it was a quick Dallas run
Mm-hmm.
back. Dallas misses it. I think, was that one of Dwight Powell's terrible misses? He
One of
he just,
many.
yeah, that dude's just, he's not a good basketball player. Um, Missed one of his like random bunnies that he missed, and then it started this new fast break for the Knicks, and both Obi and RJ are down there. So you're
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, oh, there's like big potential for something here. Like, what's RJ gonna do? And RJ just goes up himself and does the double pump reverse, and Obi was like kind of staring at him the whole time,
I
and then
know,
like,
poor Obi,
yeah,
because Obi
Obi.
was expecting something like
There was
grand.
like, yeah, there was like a half look from Obi where you were like, you thought for one that he was happy for RJ for getting the dunk off, but the other being like, come on, man, like, couldn't you put it off the backboard for me
Yep.
or something, like something
Yep.
fun? I'm trying to practice for the dunk contest, but
I know.
um, yeah, but like RJ's total scoring package, this one, I mean, I don't even know what more to say about it at this point. You know what I mean? It's he. I guess in this game, the thing that he busted out the most that he hadn't as much recently was the step back. Like, he had
The
a
step
number of,
back, and then he was doing some pretty nice like pull up mid range shots around the elbow too, that were
yeah.
like nicely in fluid, in motion, in rhythm, and everything like that. And that's a really good jump shot. And that's something that he needs to do when players are gonna, cheat off him by stepping, closer to the rim. So he needs to be able to pull up with
Mhm.
that 17-footer, and he was doing that too. It was great.
Yeah, yeah, those were fantastic, and that's such a great like weapon for him. The other thing too, in addition to the step backs, I thought were awesome. He had one at one point that was into the corner, and then like another
Hmm.
really nice sort of like sidestep towards the corner that was beautiful. He was just pulling those out nonstop in this game. But the other thing that I've been noticing recently, and this isn't like strictly this game, but I don't think we've talked about it a ton on here, is that he's using his body more. He's getting
Hmm.
he's not afraid to sort of put his shoulder into someone again. Whereas before, when he's at his worst, he gets too timid, and he doesn't want to create contact with a guy on the inside, maybe for fear of an offensive foul or whatever, but he just doesn't do it. And
Hmm.
these last few games, he's really been using his body well, I think, on the inside to get those scoring opportunities.
What I really like about this, and I'm afraid to even mention this in case like NBA ref offices get a whiff of
Oh, I know exactly what you're about to
what I'm
say.
saying, because
Mhm.
like RJ's been doing this now for a good year and a half, where he wingdings the his defender or his guy closest to the paint in the back, and I'm always like, because he gets it like right in the kidney, and I'm always just like, he never gets called for that, and I'm just like, what is he doing so good? And then I mentioned this in the Strict Cord, which is the Strickland's Discord. If you sign up for our Patreon on one of our levels, you get to basically talk to me all day, every day.
It's not just Drew, but yes, you get to talk to Drew,
Yeah, but
but
that's one of the channels. It's just me.
just Drew, yes.
Just me. But no, like, and then it was Schwinn. Shout out to Schwinn. Fuck you. And someone else. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on your name. But it's just like he's so in rhythm, where it just like it looks like it's just one fluid motion of him going like up and extending. If you're watching on YouTube, you see what I'm kind of like doing, where it doesn't look like he's just like elbowing the guy to get separation. So he does a really good job of
Yeah.
that, where like he doesn't get the call and he gets enough little like just enough to get that room, to get the layup, and it just like it works. And now it's just like, it's like, oh, I see it now, because I'm always just like, he's gonna get called for that, but he hasn't.
Yeah, maybe it's his growth into a superstar, I guess, maybe that he's
Yeah, it's the
getting
superstar move, exactly.
getting a little leniency, because it's very much like a James Harden type thing. Like, I feel like that's a thing that he's studied. Like, I mean, as much as we all generally dislike James Harden, if you're not rooting for the team that he plays for, I think
I
that
hate him, man. He's the worst. James Harden is the worst player in the NBA. Be in front of him. He's the second worst. Kyrie Irving's actually the worst.
I was gonna
That was
say,
James Harden.
on this night they maybe were both behind Luka Doncic, who got
Oof, Luca.
absolutely rocked. I mean,
Terrible game.
I thought that he got really bothered by RJ too. I mean, if we want to talk about other things, RJ did really well in this game. Like, I think RJ did a pretty good job defending Luka. Like, if you looked at
Mhm.
just his stats, you'd be like, Oh, 21, 11, and 5. That's not a bad game, but he shot 8 of 23 and 1 of 9
He
from 3. The only decent look he could get from 3 in this game was to basically like pull up from like 6 feet behind the line.
Yeah, not even pull up, and a lot of his shots were pretty much on Grimes too, and that's mainly because like he's so much bigger than Grimes, so like he could post them up. But what RJ was pretty good at, and then I think Randall was on him a couple times. Like Luka can't really move them as much as he wants them to, and that really affected him just kind of like getting to his spots specifically. Like he couldn't really get there, and then RJ was pretty good on the closeouts to like not really overcommit, but like just enough. Like his timing was really good on the closeouts too for Lucas threes.
Yeah, it really was, and that is probably just as important as the offensive growth that we're seeing from RJ. Like the defensive growth that we're seeing from him, I think is
Mm-hmm.
equally important to where he's going to go in his career and potentially where the Knicks are going to go, because I don't think it's a coincidence that we're seeing the Knicks win more games now with RJ Barrett playing as well as he has been.
Yes.
Particularly with Julius Randle sort of settling in as more of a distributor right now, I think, which we'll talk about in a minute, but like, Julius can have games where he doesn't necessarily score and can really impact the game if he buys into that. And this game was like proof positive of that. And RJ was really benefiting from the fact that Julius was just like out to set up everybody in this game, including
Mm-hmm.
him, which really worked out well. And in addition to the Knicks using RJ a little more in sets to try to set up Mitch and things like that too, that are things that we've grown to love from him over the years. So actually, Mitch is a good topic to get into, but I do real quick just want to remind everybody that today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. And Knicks fans, you've been hearing me tell you about Prize Picks for months. Have you signed up yet? If you haven't, now is the perfect time. For a limited time, Prize Picks has an exclusive no-brainer of an offer for all of our users. Users get $50 for free if a player in your first Prize Picks entry scores a single point, but you must use code NBA. That's right, this is an exclusive offer available for Locked On fans only who use the code NBA. Prize Picks has the best NBA daily fantasy sports prop game on the market, offers more NBA props than any other daily fantasy sports prop operator, and offers all the superstar players as well as bench players, only recording a handful of minutes each game. Prize Picks offers any prop you can think of, from points, assists, rebounds, threes made, etc. You could pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on those projections, and you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry, and it's just you versus the projected numbers. I recently placed a flex play entry with an over on RJ Barrett points and an under on Luka Doncic points for today, and it worked out pretty damn good for me because obviously RJ was going to be much better than Luka Doncic. So you could double your money that way, and it took all of 30 seconds to do it. It's that easy. So Prize Picks allows mixed sport entries too. You could take the over on Embiid, combine with the under on Aaron Rodgers in the same entry. So use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Prize Picks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. Go to prizepicks.com today or go to your App Store and download the app. All users that deposit and use our promo code NBA will get $50 free if your Prize Picks entry successfully scores a single point. That's right. All users that deposit and use our promo code NBA will get $50 free if your Prize Pick entry scores a single point. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All right, Drew. So to continue on, as I was
Mm-hmm.
saying, I'm actually going to throw this to you because you said something interesting when we were getting ready to record. Mitchell Robinson in this game, I'll just give the stat line real quick. He goes for 19 points on 9 of 10 shooting, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal. He played about as big and dominating. Like I think I referenced this one of his other good games recently, but I had thought of this quote from Trey Burke his rookie year, to think of how far back that was. But before Mitch's rookie year, Trey Burke had said during camp that he looked like Baby Shaq on the court. And this was definitely like one of those games where he looked like Baby Shaq compared to the Mavs because they couldn't do anything to stop him on the inside. And he just was able to basically do whatever he wanted. But you had an interesting point about this, so I'll let you present that. What were you thinking about Mitch in this game?
I will, but I just want to wasn't Baby Shaq, wasn't he on the Celtics? What's his name? Glenn Davis? Wasn't that Baby Shaq?
Maybe I'm misremembering exactly what he said. Maybe he said skinnier Shaq was the Trey Burke
Oh
thing.
wait, no, wait. Glenn Davis is called Big Baby. My
He
fault.
was
Thank
Big Baby. I feel like there was someone called Baby Shaq at one point, though. I don't think you're wrong. I think I am mixing up my nicknames.
It's all good. But no,
I'm gonna Google it while you talk. You think about that, or you talk and give your point here, and I'm gonna figure out who Baby Shaq
yeah,
was.
I'll let Alex figure that out, even though I unintentionally went down this road with him because I mixed up Glenn Davis, but no. So Mitch has been super inconsistent this year, and we kind of noticed that with like the Knicks have been super inconsistent this year as well. Like Mitch has taken forever just to actually reach like in every other game or in every 2 games he's decent stage because like Mitch has been terrible, but like the centers for the Knicks have been terrible. And one of the reasons why the team worked so well last year was like they actually had good center play. Like they were both players were contributing at least on some form of the court. Noel wasn't that good on offense, but he was really valuable on defense. Mitch was a two-way force, and because Mitch has been terrible, the Knicks don't play small. Um, and then you have old man Taj at center. Like you don't get good center play from the Knicks consistently. So when you have good center play from them, it just kind of opens up everything else for the Knicks. Like there's a lot of reasons why the Knicks were successful last year, but one of them was center play. The Knicks centers have been terrible this year. Mitch has been terrible, like overall. But when he's playing like this, do you see like these flashes of him like not being slow, not being unathletic, like actually committing to things and being his old self? You just see how much better the team is, and that's really great to see because I know Knicks fans, but to say at least in our Discord, even something on Twitter, the idea of like upgrading centers and anything like that, like and upgrade to center is not just on a trade market; it's just Mitch playing better, and we saw that. Like Noel was well, I don't want to say terrible. He was not good
Mm,
today. Like Noel wasn't that good. And understandably, he just got back from his COVID stuff. But you just saw the difference between Noel and Mitch and the impact of like bad center playing, good center playing. That was kind of like a little microcosm of the next season this year.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely the case. Like, Mitch really he has the potential to be the most important player for the Knicks this
Mm-hmm.
year. As great as RJ has been, as great as Julius can be, as important as like Evan Fournier actually playing confidently and shooting and all that good stuff is, like, Obi Toppin off the bench, Quickly's development, whatever you want to say. Like Mitch, when he's playing well, gives the Knicks exactly what Tibbs wants and allows
Mm-hmm.
the scheme to be played exactly how Tibbs wants. Like Tibbs loves his center to basically be the quarterback of the defense,
Mm-hmm.
to his whole goal, Tibbs's whole goal is just funnel everybody into the middle because I want my awesome dominant center to just destroy these guys at the rim all the time and make them afraid to ever go inside. And if we can control the rim, then we can control anything. You know what I mean? Because that is kind of a
Mm-hmm.
common truth in the NBA. Like in present day NBA, unless you face a team which the Knicks have a few times, despite having decent center play on some nights, sometimes you just face a team that just cannot stop scorching the nets from three or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
generally speaking, if you could stop teams from getting to the inside, you're in really good shape in today's NBA. And like that's what Tibbs aims to do. That's why the Knicks defense was so good last year. And that's why like when Mitch plays like he did tonight, which by and large was he only had one little bonehead stretch right at the beginning of the second quarter, and it was actually kind of good because, or sorry, second half, and it was actually kind of good because it seemed to like sort of galvanize him and make him angry. I guess like he kind of played like the Hulk after that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he committed a couple dumb fouls beginning of the second half, but that was it. Otherwise he was on all night, and the Knicks really reaped the benefits. And having a guy that can defend the paint on one end, and the guy that just he absolutely annihilated Powell and
Mm-hmm.
Kleber, right? Those
Yeah.
Kleber's their backup. It just destroyed them. I really wish Porzingis had been in this game because I think that Mitch would have had like a personal vendetta to just
It would have been
destroy his
wonderful.
life today.
Would
I
have been
mean,
wonderful.
because he was defending the perimeter well too. So like Porzingis was not going to get away with just camping on the perimeter against him today either. I don't
No.
think. So just a phenomenal game from Mitch. I loved everything I saw out of him. And, I've been saying this for weeks now, whenever we see the flashes or like one good game here and there, like the second that he starts doing this consistently, he might make himself a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like he needs to start doing this every single day. And then the Knicks have proven that they'll pay players that play well. And if they don't end up doing it with Mitch, like some other team will give him, $10+ million to come to their team and play center for them. So, it's all in Mitch's hands at this point. And like, I really hope he keeps going like this because he was freaking amazing
Look,
during this game.
me too. I've been very anti-Mitch this year. I thought he's been so bad and terrible, but like I want him off the team. Like that's how bad he's been. But like this is the version that like he needs to be, and not just like I could say that as a fan, but it's not just like basically what you were saying though, for his own sake, because like he'll get a contract if
Mhm.
he's this guy, because that means like we just see like if he's I didn't think he was like as dominant defensively today as he was like ever last year, but he was definitely much more offensively dominant. So just him having just general two-way impact, right? Because he was still a plus defender, right?
Mhm.
So if you just have general two-way impact with Mitch, controlling the rebounds, boxing out, playing defense, the Knicks, everything for the Knicks clicks. And
Mhm.
that's why I think a lot of people, including myself, will get annoyed with Tibbs, because when Tibbs's thing isn't working, he still will go down with that ship. And that's the annoying part with Tibbs, because it's like, no, just adjust when it's not working. But he doesn't want to do that
Mhm.
because you see what the highs are, which is this the game. Like this
Yeah.
is why he sticks with it, is because of this, and it's annoying as hell, but it feels goddamn good when it when it works.
It's annoying to see Tibbs get vindication from time to time.
Yeah, that's what it is. Because like you watch this game and you're just like, this is what Tibbs envisioned, this is what Leon envisioned, this is what everyone envisioned, right? The idea that like everyone has the ball, everyone's a threat off the dribble, everyone can create. And we
Mhm.
saw that. Like we saw that with Fournier, Burks, RJ, Quickly, Randall, even Grimes to an extent too. Like you
Mhm.
just saw them create, and when it works, like that's the idea. Like someone's going to create, the defense is going to collapse, and then everyone on the court and the Knicks can do something with the ball on a kick out or a lob pass or something. Like this is what they designed, and this is what they intend to do. But it hinges on Randall being more Draymond Greenish, right?
Yeah.
In his play, like focusing on defense and facilitating, but also like last year worked because Randall was an elite wing and RJ was good. So like if Randall can be good and you still get like some sort of elite wing production along with everyone filling their roles, then we get back to last year. But like everyone needs to do this consistently. Like this, like, that's the thing. Like Mitch has to be consistent. Fournier has to be confident. Randall has to stay like this, and then RJ has to continue thriving. Like it's there. Like this team from last year is there, but they they need to step it up.
Yeah. Well, let's hold that thought on Randall because I do want to talk about him when we get into our
Okay.
final bit of the show here. But I will first remind everybody that today's show is brought to you by Built Bar, and it's the new year, so that means time for New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bars in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good, you'll want to eat it. Unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky or waxy or taste like a chemical spill, you want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring. By week 3, you might be thinking, this just isn't worth it. Where's the chocolate? Built bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. And most Built bars contain just 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs on top of fat. And who wants fat in your diet? Not me, ever. I never eat fat. Even if you're not a huge fan of working out, you can at least eat something that tastes good and is good for you. That way, when you enjoy a delicious Built Bar, you can almost count it as a workout. And there's so many flavors to choose from: coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, salted caramel, mint brownie, and many more. In fact, Built is always coming out with new limited time flavors. So check out Built.com often to see what's new. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and you will get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. And today's show is also brought to you by BetOnline.ag. BetOnline would like to wish you a happy betting New Year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. Hopefully the playoffs for the Knicks. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. And it's a new year, so there's a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Drew. So I teased this before we went to the break there,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to talk more about Julius Randle because I thought this was sort of a logical progression of his last game, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
and when I say everyone, I mean mostly like Mark Berman, who I love, but has to turn everything into an issue. It was kind of like, oh, the Knicks might have won and RJ might have scored 30 points, but Julius Randle only scored 2 points. Like, what does that mean for the Knicks? Is
That was
Julius
like,
Randle?
that was people on our Discord too.
Yeah, people were also saying that in our Discord channel. Oh,
And
Julius Randle only 2
and
points.
I was getting laughed at for defending him.
Yeah, and I mean, I could understand wanting more out of him, obviously, for how much you're paying him and everything else. But I mean, he had a solid game all around and didn't let the fact that he only scored 2 points get to him or stop him from distributing or from, rebounding the ball or playing defense. And that was the
Right.
important part. And this game was just sort of the logical progression of that, right? Like he still didn't shoot his best, like 6 of 17 total, only 1 of 3 from 3, 4 of 6 from the free throw line, but finishes was a pretty nice stat line: 17 points, 12 boards, 8 assists, 5 turnovers. So like almost at the 2-to-1 assist to turnover. And he was doing a lot of like driving and kicking in this game and finding open shooters. And like for the Strickland actually today, like Max Hoover wrote a really cool article that sort of went into like, he watched a number of games and was tracking like where Julius was making his passes from and what sort of looks he was finding his teammates for. And like they have drastically underperformed on catch and shoot for him this year. Like they're shooting just abysmal on potential assists for him on catch and shoot opportunities. And this game, they did a lot better.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not just that Randle has been struggling this year. I mean, the Knicks have just been horrendous at shot making at times this year.
Yes.
And that's led to some of their ugliest losses. So, I mean, I thought that this was everything that you would ever want to see out of Julius in this game. He was engaged. He was just interested in getting, like doing what had to be done for the team to win, and like didn't seem upset at all by, the fact that he wasn't shooting that well, was just kind of still continuing in the flow of the offense, and it really gave a crap on defense. I mean, he also really defended like guys like Doncic and that sort of thing pretty well a few times. He absolutely bullied Doncic on offense once or twice, which was hilarious too. Watching as you might say, pudgy Luka getting jostled around down there by Julius. I gotta say, Luka really, they talked about how he said he's been playing himself into shape. I mean, you want to talk about someone, he still doesn't look like he's played into shape yet. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
it looks like he has like cake stuffed in his face at all times, man. Like
it's hard to argue.
My man's eating dessert.
He is. I mean, it's hard to argue with the results because he's still putting up triple doubles and stuff.
No,
and,
I know.
Splashing jumpers all over the place. So maybe he's just sort of like Jokic before Jokic really took his personal health seriously too.
Yeah,
but.
I mean, Luka needs to lay off the barbecue, man. He needs to lay off the beans.
All that Dallas barbecue, maybe he has gotten hooked. There is some good barbecue down there.
Man, they got the best barbecue. Okay, maybe not the best. I'm gonna trigger people from places, but like
you're gonna trigger people from Brooklyn, the barbecue capital of the world.
Oh yeah, I forgot Brooklyn, the best barbecue.
But anyway, no, I think anyone that thinks Brooklyn barbecue is the best barbecue in the world is probably a Nets fan anyway. So we're probably not at risk of offending anybody anyway.
For anyone who I couldn't with that
New York Times article or whatever it was.
That shit triggered me because I spent time in the South. I spent time in Texas, so it's just like they take their barbecue very seriously there.
And so that's one thing they do very well down there. They don't do progressive policy making very well, but they do barbecue great.
Look, man, they may shoot their cows with AR-15s, but man, the barbecue, man, those cows taste good.
Anyway, Drew, so to get back to Julius Randle and
who's from Dallas.
Who's from Dallas, we took this full circle, and who beat up on barbecue loving Luka. I mean, what did you think overall about his performance in this game? And I know you went into it a little bit already, but you mentioned like a Draymond Green role for him, and you're right. You were in our Discord channel the other day, like getting into, um, how you thought that was perfectly acceptable for him, like as a role, and other people were kind of like, oh
Well,
no, he needs to score more. He needs to be more of an alpha. Like, what do you
yeah,
think about him for a role going forward?
yeah, dude, man, I don't care about the points. The points are gonna come if he embraces his role. So last year, he's all NBA, he's all star, he's all that. He's doing that because he's shooting lights out, right? Like he's making all the tough shots, like the star shots. And because he's never done that before, we had to see this year, is that going to continue? And as we saw, he's not consistent with that. And that's perfectly fine. He doesn't need to be the scorer because like RJ's emerging. Fournier, like you brought in Fournier to score, like to help do these sort of things, and you should, in theory, also have better point guard play too. That's not like overpaying they have more offense. So like Julius doesn't need to be the scorer, but if he still is the focal point of the offense, or he's still distributed and playing defense, especially perimeter defense, grabbing the rebounds, getting in transition, if he plays more like Draymond Green, that's going to sustain his like building off of like what he did last year, because I don't think last year is ever going to happen again. But he could still be like one of the best players in the league by embracing the great Draymond role, because he has the size, he has the quickness. He does, like, Draymond's not like an elite passer, but he has good vision. Like Julius Randle's not an elite passer, but he has good vision. And Randle, when he ramps up on defense, he's not as good as Draymond in, post defense and defending the rim, but Randle is very good on the perimeter and switching. So if Randle could do that, and then if the other guys, like, especially because we saw RJ go off, but like if RJ and Fournier are playing well, Randle gets single coverage. When Randle gets single coverage, it's very difficult to defend him. So like it has a very good ripple effect where it makes his game easier if he embraces being the distributor. Because then like his shots become easier. He sort of doesn't have to take those. He took a lot of like crappy mid-range shots
Mhm.
tonight too, but then like you saw his good shots and it was just him barreling over people because of his single coverage. That's what he needs to embrace. And if he can embrace this role, that's where the team is going to maintain success and he's going to be beloved by the fans. Again, like this is the role he needs to embrace.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that his role is essentially. I mean, I was going to use the word connector, but I don't think that's even right because he's not just like he's an initiator too. I mean, he can initiate
Yes.
the offense very well and get things going, but he needs to look at it from the perspective of like be Draymond Green, or like if we want to use like a guard comparison, like be more Steve Nash than Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? Like look
Yes.
more to set up your teammates and use your scoring as sort of your like trump card, rather than using your scoring as your primary thing
Yes.
and facilitating as just a backup plan.
Yes.
And I
Exactly.
yeah, and it's obviously those are two of the best players of all time, multi-time MVPs, whatever. But it's the general comparison is there. Like he should want to be the guy setting up his teammates and getting things going, because that's
Mhm.
definitely where he's at his best, because he draws a lot of attention now. I mean, he did, for a guy who's been, it seems like he's so desperate to like have his validation from his great season last year. I think that the greatest validation that he's getting is that he's drawing so many double teams and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
even when he hasn't been scoring that great this year, teams still respect the hell out of him. And he needs to just take advantage of that respect that they have and start using it to set up his teammates, because that's his most dangerous skill. Um,
Yeah, so like if Randall's setting screens and he's doing all this, and it's like the idea of his process going up the court is like, if I can focus on getting everyone else involved and helping them, then my job gets easier in terms of scoring, instead of, like you said, right? Like I know you mentioned Kobe and Nash, but the idea that you were capturing was, if I focus on distributing first, my scoring comes in, versus if my scoring leads to bad. Like I got what you were saying.
mhm.
So don't let people be like, misconstruing your take. But
I
like,
will I will put the blinders on to the haters after this
yeah,
podcast comes
please
out.
do.
If the YouTube comments are mean,
Yeah,
I'll just phase that out.
please do. But
Um,
yeah, like embrace that role.
yeah.
That's where then everything turns around, because like you watch tonight's game, you're just like, Randall, like that's great. Like, and he'll be beloved. He'll be beloved again. Like that's how
Mhm.
you capitalize on what you did last season. Because like you said, they're double teaming him still. So like if you facilitate, they're gonna stop double teaming you, then you get to score easily. Like it works that way. Like your great season led you to now you have to do the opposite of what of last year to
Mhm.
maintain the greatness. Like that's what he needs to do. He needs to now be able to like find his spots and go from there.
So real quick, I just wanted to, before we wrap things up here, I wanted to shout out, speaking of embracing roles, Alec Burks, Evan Fournier, and Quentin Grimes. Had to shout those three out. All
Mm-hmm.
three guys, 13 points for Fournier, 10 for Burks. He didn't shoot the best, but he had 6 assists also in this game. And then 9 points for Quentin Grimes in 19 minutes, 3 of 6 shooting from 3. All three of those guys I thought played great games, even though Burks
Mm-hmm.
didn't shoot particularly great. They are doing so, they are more like the connectors, you know what I mean, that
Yes.
are, they can either shoot or they have more than enough skills to put the ball on the floor quick and then get it to someone else who can shoot a wide open shot. And that was on full display in this game. RJ did a good job of keeping the ball moving in that regard too, although he just was feeling it so much that he wound up shooting it a lot because he was amazing, obviously. But like, I loved what I saw out of those three. You could throw the shooting lines out the window, even though, I mean, Fournier shot really great, 5 of 9. Grimes was 3 of 6, so no complaints there. But like, even Burke shooting 2 for 9, I didn't care at all because I thought
No.
that he was really playing his role well, and all three of those guys did probably their best work of the whole season in that regard.
Yeah. So like if it really comes down to like they're playing their roles really well, I think a lot of what's going to come down to like if RJ keeps this up and Randall is fine doing the shift, that makes like this makes the team so much more deadly
It changes everything. Yeah,
that it did last year because last year it was all Randall and RJ really wasn't ready, right? They were just using him as like a spot up like player, and then they didn't have it. But like if RJ can pick up the scoring load Julius left off from last year, it changes fundamentally because the Knicks have better players to play off that than they did last year because
yeah,
it puts Julius in his ideal role. Now, whether he wants to accept it will be determined, but like that's this is like this is the formula for the Knicks. Like you watch this, like this is the blueprint they kind of need to follow for the rest of the year. Still play Obi more, not Noel, but like this is what they need to build off of now. Like this win, and even the other win with RJ,
yeah.
and then the game winner, and then the game winner, and the one before. Like this is
All the games where RJ plays good. Let's just do that again.
yeah, yeah. Just, you got to focus on that.
Well, I think that's as good a note to end on as any, Drew. Thanks so much for coming on and subbing in for Gavin today. Do you have anything that you would like to plug before we send you off, and you want to tell everybody where to find you on Twitter and all that stuff?
I want to plug Skyrim. They dropped their 10th anniversary DLC, and it's some free content, which is pretty good. I got some sweet weapons out of that. Then you just find me on Twitter at ScooterToots. If you want to Venmo me money to give you for your picks, where you get your $50 free for ticket
Prize Peaks.
from Prize Picks, you Venmo me $10. I'll tell you what to get, and you get your $50 free. That's at ScooterToots on Venmo. That's all I got.
All right, there you go. All right, well, thank you, Drew, for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I got a couple more shows for you guys to end the week off, so those will be coming up over the next couple days. But till next time, thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you all soon. Peace out.